What's going on, everyone? So, more and more reports are starting to come out as we inch closer to the upcoming NBA draft on a potential Kevin Durant trade, right? Because the Phoenix Suns want to get this trade done by the draft based on reports, right? And the San Antonio Spurs, we've gotten reports that are interested in Kevin Durant, that Kevin Durant's camp is interested in Kevin Durant or going to the Spurs, that the Phoenix Suns are interested in a potential Spurs trade. And then now we've gotten reports that Kevin Durant himself, that's his preferred destination, right? Now, preferred destination doesn't always mean that that's where he's going to end up. Now, in the case of when he was traded from the Brooklyn Nets, his preferred destination was the Phoenix Suns, and he was actually traded there, right? He had his list of teams and whatnot. But preferred destination definitely gives you, in my opinion, a leg up because it's like, if the packages are comparable, right? Phoenix is probably going to go to Kevin Durant. Like, where would you prefer to go? And if it's close or a tie, right, Kevin Durant can be that tiebreaker and go, because you got to remember, Kevin Durant's going to have a lot of say. He's going to have a lot of input on what he wants to do, where does he want to go, right? Because he's an expiring contract, right? He's going into a contract year. So, a team like the Knicks could want to trade for him, right? Which they are on the list of teams that Kevin Durant is supposedly interested in. Although reports recently came out that the Knicks, that they're kind of out on the Kevin Durant trade. Whether that's true or not, we'll see. Again, all these reports are speculation until it actually happens, right? You always got to keep that in mind. It's all speculation until we actually see pen to paper, right? But there is a list of teams that are interested in trading for Kevin Durant. If one of those teams wants Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant doesn't want them, then he could easily be like, hey, look, just to let you know, yeah, you could trade for me. I'm a free agent. I'm just going to go sign with the Spurs, right? You've seen players do that, force their way to teams. Now, if Kevin Durant would do that, then the Spurs definitely would get Kevin Durant, and they'd probably get him a lot cheaper. The problem is that the Spurs are probably going to have to pony up for Kevin Durant, right? Because there are several teams in the mix. There are several teams that Kevin Durant himself, again, based on reports, are interested in besides the Spurs. Spurs are on that list, but you have the Miami Heat, you have the Houston Rockets, you have the New York Knicks, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, the Knicks, again, supposedly are out on a potential Kevin Durant trade. But you still have 3 or 4 teams that are interested in Kevin Durant. And that's not counting, a random team like Toronto supposedly is willing to kind of do a Kawhi Leonard thing where they kind of just, hey, we'll take our chance that he leaves. Right, and pony up and was he not going to play this year type thing. That's not counting the team that's not reported that comes out of left field that maybe Kevin Durant goes, yeah, I wouldn't hate to go there, right? So, there's going to be a lot. And the problem is the more competition there is, right, the more that price is going to rise, right? The more teams that are in the mix for Kevin Durant, the more bidding and the higher that price gets driven up to where is it worth it for the Spurs at that point, right? Like if the Spurs are doing, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and the 14th pick, then sure, do that. You're done, right? I'd prefer to keep Harrison Barnes if I can, but even if you had to do Harrison Barnes, right? If they're like, no, we need a wing to replace KD, fine, here's Harrison Barnes type thing, right? But if it's like now, you got to do Devin Vassell, you got to do Keldon Johnson, you got to do, the 14th pick. We also want 2 future first and like a Jeremy Sohan. Then it's like, it's just not worth it at that point. Now you're ponying up too much and you might as well just stay the course, right? And wait for that next guy to become available. Or you might as well just go trade for Giannis, right? Like, at that point, what you're ponying up is going to end up being equivalent to Giannis. So to me, I think it boils down to a couple things, right? Yes, all these other teams are interested, but you have teams that are interested, but to a certain extent, which could be the Spurs, right? You have teams that are interested, but just don't have the personnel or assets that make sense, right? You have teams that are, like Minnesota, apron teams, like things like that, where you have to find that other team and then things kind of get like where, you look at a team like the Spurs, they can kind of work it out to where, even if you need to get a third team, like you can still do that, but it just, you have a more easier path. Like, because Spurs aren't this second apron team that's got to pony up and it's like, oh man, now we got to like send out a guy just to get the, just keep things simple, right? And then also it's like, what is Kevin Durant's value, right? Obviously that's based on what teams are willing to offer and how low is Phoenix willing to go, right? Like there's a lot of factors in play. But to me, it really boils down to Kevin Durant, right? Like if I'm the Spurs, right, I would be asking Kevin Durant, like, how bad do you want to be here, right? Like, do you, like, we have a vision with you. We want to fulfill that vision with you. If you don't see the same vision, that's fine. Go to a Minnesota, go to a Houston, go to wherever, and we'll just pivot and go another direction. But if you see that vision, we need your help because it doesn't make sense for us to go get you and then spend 3 years rebuilding and retooling because we had to just trade everything to go get you, right? Like the idea is like, hey, we go get you, we slot you in. Obviously, you have to give something to get something. I'm not saying you trade, basically a bag of peanuts. Like, hey, we'll give you a pick swap. Like, no, you have Kevin Durant's still very good. You're still gonna have to pony up something. You're gonna have to give something, right? I've seen a lot of people that are like, I don't want to trade Jeremy Sohan. I don't want to trade the 14th pick, or I don't want to like. Then you just don't want to trade for Kevin Durant, which is fine. But one, you got to keep in mind, it doesn't matter what we want. It doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what we're willing to give up and what we're not. None of us work for the Spurs organization. If Brian Wright goes, I'll give up Jeremy Sohan, then Jeremy Sohan's gone, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you have to give something to get something, right? Like, we all want that. We all want the De'Aaron Fox trade, right? Where you basically got the all-star guy and didn't give up anything of real value, right? Like, so there is that perception, which I get, right? And that's just fandom, period, right? But the point is, like, the Spurs are going to have to pony up something. The point is, like, how high is the Spurs actually willing to go? Again, we might not be willing to go X, Y, and Z, but they might. They might be willing to, give, hey, you know what? We'll give up the 14th pick, Jeremy Sohan, right? You want another young guy not named Stephon Castle, take him, right? Like, you want the 14th pick, we'll also give you a future first, right? Like, so there is this sense of like, hey, the Spurs are going to have to pony up, right? But also Kevin Durant has the power to where Spurs are still going to have to give up, a decent package, but can make things easier. Where it's like, dude, the plan is to add you to Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, and you, and then now we're competing maybe as soon as this year if we can get the right pieces around and win a championship, right? Do you want to spend 3 years trying to rebuild? Yeah, you could go to Houston, right? Houston's great, but you're the only scorer, right? Like, good luck, right? Like, oh yeah, you want to go to Minnesota? Sure, Minnesota would be great. Minnesota would be fine. There's some toughness there. Yeah, you'd have this window. Sure, maybe Minnesota is the answer. Maybe Minnesota you can win a championship, right? I mean, they've been back-to-back conference finals. You had Kevin Durant. Maybe that's the difference maker, right? Or, the Knicks. Hey, you want to go to the Knicks, right? Sure. Hey, good luck. But if you want to come here, be a part of this culture, be a part of, then we need your help, right? You need to kind of nudge a little bit towards the Spurs. So we'll see. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.